I didn't really follow the elbows up. Can you explain?
Not really.
Oh, I think he's a lifelong crook and a lifelong con artist. He's been a thief and a crook his entire life. He's a racist and a rapist and everything bad.
So dictatorship are for freedom of speech?
Yes.
No, they're not for.
Oh.
Usually they are not for. But Elon Musk is actually buying Twitter to protect the freedom of speech. Do you think that is actually an image of dictatorship?
Well,
They're firing too many people.
they still have control.
Where we want in this country, we know we have health care. In the States, it just usually depended on your job. So if your job doesn't want to give you health care, you probably don't have it.
Alexa Lavoie here for Rebel News, reporting from Ottawa. We brought our billboard truck to the Capitol to display messages exposing Mark Carney's record, something the mainstream media refuses to do. But while I was here, I came across a protest in front of the US Embassy. The demonstration focused on Canadian sovereignty, opposing the idea of becoming the 51st state, and spreading the message of elbows up. Many protesters were angry at Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Some were open to speaking with us, others not so much.
You're the cause of this problem. Rebel News spreading bad information.
We took the opportunity to ask people a few key questions. What do they think of Donald Trump? Do they believe he is serious about Canada becoming the 51st state? Which leader would be the best suit to handle Trump on trade and tariffs?
The Liberal Party is going to win now in the next election, most likely. And they were down and out. Isn't that going to make them more hostile to us and possibly
I'd rather
open the
deal
door
with a liberal than a
for
conservative.
China, closer to Canada, and that would really put us in a bind.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal, actually, with a liberal.
As you know, Prime Minister Mark Carney launched the federal election last Sunday. We also know that Carney lied about his involvement in moving Brookfield Asset Management headquarters from Toronto to New York to sidestep Trump's tariff threats. These are just some of the topics I discussed with people on the ground. Now, here is my full interaction. Can you explain quickly your sign?
My sign? It's a pretty clear message to Donald Trump that he is not welcome here, and he can keep his hands off my country.
Oh, I'm disgusted with Trump and his whole administration. It's shocking and disgusting.
I never imagined that we would be threatened by our neighbor to the south, and I feel that we are under a genuine threat.
I think we just want people to realize that there's really is a danger to the dictatorship that's happening, that not only for us, but for Americans as well.
But the biggest part of America actually voted for Donald Trump, and they are happy with what he's doing because he's putting America first. What will your response to that?
I'm not sure that the largest part is supporting them, and I'm thinking less and less are going to be once they know the reality of what he's doing. Also, other places in the world are really endangered by him and the oligarchs.
More to do with protecting our democracy and making sure that what's happening down south of the border doesn't creep up into here, either internally through Canadian politics or with Trump annexing us. That's just unacceptable.
Trump is Putin's puppet, and he's just doing the bidding of billionaires like Musk. He's doing the bidding of Putin. He's not making, he's an actor, he's just an entertainer, he's a king for his people, but he's an idiot. And he's a puppet for the real people behind him, or Putin, who's really the mastermind behind this, and billionaires.
Canada's already great. Elbows up.
I didn't really follow the elbows up. Can you explain?
Not really.
Wow.
Pardon?
You really are Canadian. Yeah. But let me ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada?
There will always be a Canada.
All right. Elbows up.
Elbows up.
That's it. Gordie Howe, who was, by all accounts, a gentleman off the ice. But on the ice, if you messed with his team or his teammates, you saw his elbows come up and you know that it was about to get real. Somebody was going to bleed. Right now we're saying elbows up. It means that we're prepared to fight, that you're messing with us, you're messing with Canadians.
Because I'm seriously angry at Trump. I'm seriously angry at the way he's treating Ukraine. I'm seriously angry at Musk, the way he's destroying the American government. I'm seriously angry about a lot of things. I'm seriously angry that they could dare to threaten Canada.
How do Elon Musk is actually destroying the government?
The government in the States? Well, with his Doge group of little teenage boys, he is going in and taking over all the departments and destroying all the files and getting rid of all the computer systems. People are not going to have health care. People aren't going to be able to get their Social Security benefits. It's terrible what he's doing.
Why don't you f*** off? You're the cause of this problem. Rebel News spreading in bad information.
What do you mean by that? Which bad information?
Exactly.
Which bad information? This is ridiculous.
So the question is...
You know this is Rebel News, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think of Trump, the man?
Oh, I think he's a lifelong crook and a lifelong con artist. He's been a thief and a crook his entire life. He's a racist and a rapist and everything bad. He'd been sued.
He's sued, but
Yeah.
not convicted.
I guess not in a court of law, but he's been convicted in a civil court. Yeah.
Well, he's a bully. I mean, everybody says that, right? And it's because he's insensitive. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
I can use no words in public to describe that fellow. The man is evil.
As a puppet, he's just doing the bidding of other people. You know, he's very entertaining to his constituents and a terrorist to everybody.
I think if you hear that today and tomorrow he'll say it the other way. He'll say whatever he says doesn't even make sense. I feel like the people who follow Trump, I feel like it's almost like a cult. And they believe really crazy stuff.
More than a half of the voter? We talk about millions of people.
There's a lot of them for sure. Now there's a lot of them who are regretting their votes, but it's too late.
I think he's despicable, absolutely despicable. And I cannot believe that an idiot like him could possibly ever be elected president.
Sure that they're actually putting Americans first. They're putting the oligarchy first.
That's right. I don't know, he's just crazy. And I understand that Trump is crazy and that people, because it happens in the world. I do not understand how that many people were crazy enough to vote for him. It's outside of my realm of thinking. I can't even think about it.
You know who they are, right?
Which leader do you think it would be the best to... don't touch me, please. Don't touch me.
Carney.
Carney?
Dictators, despots. They're following a playlist we've seen before in history.
Do you believe that the people who are electing Donald Trump, it's because they want him to put America first?
I think it's because he lies to them. And they've been fed a lot of lies. They're waiting for some promised check, bunch of money. And right now they're losing their jobs. They're losing their Social Security. So that's what I think.
Why are you keeping touching me and screaming at me? I don't understand why you're doing that, because you don't have the right to touch me. You know, you don't have the right to be physical with people.
Oh no, you promised me I'll sue you.
You can't sue me because you are in a private, we are in a public space.
Don't use it because I don't want it used the wrong way.
But you say, why did you say
because I was annoyed at you. No, don't finish.
Not lies.
It's full of lies.
It's all your voice.
Rebel News is full of lies.
Which lies? Tell me one lie. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. Why did you react when you heard that Donald Trump say that he would prefer to deal with a liberal than a conservative?
I don't care what he thinks, really. I think it's more important for Canadians to choose who they think will represent them best with this crisis, but also with their own personal situations and what their priorities are. So
it was a very blatant manipulation.
Yes.
What do you think is behind that?
I think he's trying to tell Canadians to vote for Poilievre, which I think if anybody knew, that's not in our best interest.
Given how he's been talking before about how he really liked the conservative government, personally, I think he's lying through his teeth. I think what he's doing is he suddenly realized, oh, the people I don't want to talk to, i.e. the economist, who probably knows what he's talking about when it comes to trade and tariffs, vice the guy who's done nothing but be a politician his entire life.
How did you react hearing that Trump would be more inclined to work with a liberal than a conservative?
I don't believe anything Trump says, so whatever he says, don't believe it whatsoever. I have no thoughts on anything he says that I don't take any of it for truth at all. Yeah.
So you probably don't think that is true what he's saying about the 51st state then?
Well, I'm pretty sure he'd rather have the conservatives in. What he would like to have the 51st state? I think it's a ruse. I think he's a crook and he's stealing, and he's just using this as a distraction.
If you had a politician who said, my plan is to take taxpayers' dollar and drain the Hudson's Bay Company and pour cement in it, you would think that's crazy. Those politicians would never get a right to get into Parliament. The states? I don't know. There's something there that is making this all possible.
No. The United States is less free than Canada is. It is less free. We can go anywhere we want in this country. We know we have health care. In the States, it just usually depended on your job. So if your job doesn't want to give you health care, you probably don't have it. If you want to vote, down in the States, we're getting people getting told, I'm sorry, you can't have access for news here because you aren't calling this the Gulf of America. The United States, in many cases, is less free because people have to be afraid. I have to have a gun because somebody else has probably got a gun out here and I can get shot for doing something stupid. Whereas up here, we're not worried about that.
But my question was, do you really believe that they want us to be the 51st state?
No, I don't. I think they want us to be an unincorporated territory where we get taxation without representation. We would probably need to be, we'll need to learn a little bit how to be really American. Just like Puerto Rico is an unincorporated territory of the United States.
Which leader do you think it would be the best to deal with Donald Trump?
Carney's got my vote.
I haven't decided yet, actually. I'm really not sure. I think obviously Mark Carney is extremely well qualified and I think he's a good man, but he has no political experience.
But Carney also moved the headquarters of Brookfield Asset Management to avoid the tariff before they were even applied.
Yes, and he also has one vote on that board.
And what do you think about the multiple attacks led by people against Tesla and Elon Musk? What do you think of that? Do you think it's appropriate?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I think they're being brutal in the way they're dealing with the situation. They've got no feeling for anybody at all. And they're going to manipulate our election if they can.
But they actually burned cars. They did pretty terrible acts in the U.S. So you agree with that?
I don't support that, but I do support them protesting.
A man like Musk has the authority to fire people, and he stands on a stage with a chainsaw laughing about how he will ruin those people's careers or end their careers. I can't imagine that he should expect anything else.
Well, democracy has left the USA. Will it ever return? I don't know.
Do a dictatorship are for freedom of speech?
Well, supposedly.
So dictatorship are for freedom of speech?
Yes.
No, they're not for.
Oh.
Usually they are not for. But Elon Musk is actually buying Twitter to protect the freedom of speech. Do you think that is actually an image of dictatorship?
Well,
they're firing too many people.
They still have control.
We will expose Mark Carney and we will show you the truth about this man because the mainstream refused to do so. You can see all our report and the information about Mark Carney at thecarneyfiles.com. Go ahead, check it out, and thanks in advance to supporting our journalism.